What happened? I'm referring to the asteroid. I mean, the election in the past week. Whew. So this is going to be a talk. Definitely not the talk I wanted to have or expected or was hoping to have. But a heck of a talk nonetheless. Depending on how things go and how toxic things get, I may turn off the comments for the sake of my mental health and for the sake of the mental health of my audience and many other viewers of mine. I'll try to keep things positive, except toward the people who happily voted for the grapist, and productive and hopeful as possible, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We have some very dark times ahead of us to look forward to in the coming years, thanks to these election results. Before I get into it any further, please like, comment, subscribe, and even donate. Also, before I get really into the meat and potatoes, if you will, I would just like to preface this by saying that this video and this channel is not a safe space for fascists, anybody hateful, or people who happily voted for this man. You will be swiftly blocked and your comment removed and silenced if this description fits you. If you merely voted him for economic reasons, we can speak to each other civilly on civil terms, but you are not and you will never be my friend. You helped sell out my community and strip us of our rights and make us more vulnerable to aggression, terror, and unaliving. This channel, however, is and will always be a safe space for the LGBTQ+ community and for all true allies. So, you know, for you guys, LGBTQ community and true allies, thank you so much for being who you are, and continuing to stand up for what is right and what is just in the world. One sec. Remember, fascism, look up the dictionary definition before you give me any crap in the comments, is always legitimate, or illegitimate rather, is always illegitimate whether or not a majority of voters voted for it. Hitler was also voted into power by what was a free and fair election at the time in Germany. He was not voted out of power. That took a world war. But I guess in this election, most U.S. Voters missed that history lesson or simply didn't care. So here's how this video is going to go down. I'm going to break it down into 8 parts. They will be the following. Part 1, an initial reaction and stuff to get off my chest. Part 2, how it has affected me personally, predictions falling flat, and spiritual ramifications for me and for the community in general, and being a guiding light in these times, in these very dark times. Part 3, the questionable nature of the reported election results. Now, I don't want to get too deep into the conspiracy rabbit hole. That's not the goal of this video, but I will touch on that in part 3, just the weirdness of some of these election results that we've seen. Part 4, an analysis, what the results are, how we got here, what the overall picture is, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. Part 4, already said that. Part 5, the worst timeline. what we can expect from this administration or dictatorship, and how it will affect the issues I plan to talk about on this channel. Part 6, the way forward and what we can do about it. Part 7, how this is going to affect what I cover on this channel going forward. And Part 8, ending on a slightly positive and hopeful note and a message of encouragement and positivity and support for all the LGBTQ plus community. Okay, just 1 second. So how is this happening? Again. No, really. How? That was one of my initial reactions when the results first popped in the scene. That was early Wednesday morning, my initial reactions to all this crap. I'm so disappointed and disgusted with my country right now. We've been here before, so it doesn't feel completely foreign and unknown. It's just so much worse. It's going to be so much worse and so much scarier this time around. I know I promised not to talk about politics much on this channel. It still won't be my mainstay. But I plan to talk about it a lot more than I have, but also try to stay positive in the face of this looming fascism. This is literally my life and my survival and the lives of my partner and just the LGBTQ community in general. I refuse to be silent and complacent. Like I've said in my previous political video, I don't plan on talking about politics too much on this channel. I don't particularly like politics. I often find it annoying and aggravating and full of tension, division, and hatred. I just don't like it. My partner, who likes politics far less than I even do, has asked, why can't we just get along? And why can't we just live and let live when I bring up the subject of politics? While that is certainly a noble intention, and as someone who is very much into spirituality, it is in fact a very valuable, worthwhile, and essential goal. But it is unfortunately a very naive and simplistic approach when it comes to human nature, the world in general, and socioeconomic divisions as they currently exist. I plan to be a YouTuber mostly for spirituality and spirituality adjacent content, but from time to time I do plan on talking about politics when either something big for good or bad comes around, or for good positive news or politics stories in general, with special attention and focus given to LGBTQ plus rights, women's rights, environmental policy, environmental issues in general, animal welfare and animal rights. Why, even though politics sometimes drive me somewhat stir crazy? Well, because it matters. Politics affects real world issues and real lives. There's just no getting around it, and elections have very real consequences, and that is a reality that is certainly plain to see from the results of this most recent US election. So before I get into the results of the election and an analysis of the causes and how it played out, I have a few things to get off my chest before, because the outcome of this election is not like any other election this time. This time it's personal. If you voted for this with a smile, frick you. You know what I want to say, but frick you. If you voted for this for economic reasons, economic anxieties, and decided to overlook all the racism, sexism, xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia, and just hate in general, it's understandable, yeah, but we can't be friends. And you'll learn soon enough that he is not the savior that you believed him to be. If you did not vote or voted for Jill Stein or some other third-party idiot dolt, it's going to take some healing. It is going to take some healing. It really is. But we can still be friends. If we still have free and fair elections on the other side of this, you had better vote for whoever is going to get us out of this shitstorm and protect the marginalized among us. You had better, please. If you voted for her, we're still friends, duh. And thank you. So on that note, if you did vote for her, it's hard to comprehend the magnitude and the mistake of so many made in this country and made on so many levels. It's a major disservice to women and girls, first of all. We had a chance to chart a new and better course forward into the future and break glass ceilings. But a majority of voters handed the victory to a convicted felon, adjudicated rapist, sexual aggressor, assaulter, and predator. Someone who has helped, who was proud to help overturn Roe versus Wade and destroy some of the most fundamental rights and freedoms for women, and plans to do more of the same. And who has made some of the most disgusting, sexist, heinous, and misogynistic remarks imaginable, rather than a competent, confident, classy, empathetic, and overqualified woman. It feels like we took a big step backward because, well, we did. Not just when it comes to women's rights and advancement, but also racial rights and advancement, LGBTQ plus rights, environmental issues, climate change action, animal welfare, healthcare, education, actual economic improvements for the middle class and not just some fake populist bluster, the rule of law, and democracy itself. Harris made the declaration, "We're not going back." But it feels like a majority of voters just said, "Nah, I'm good," in response, but very many of them may have been simply unaware of the issues and all of what was at stake. Just 1 second, need water. So part 2, how it has affected me personally, predictions falling flat, and the spiritual ramifications, and being a guiding light in these very dark times. How it has affected me personally this week, past week has really sucked. Wednesday, I just felt so physically and mentally unwell. Just completely sick to my stomach and everything. Like, I had to call off work that day. Thankfully, I was able to. Called off work that day. went back to the work the next day. I'll be honest, since then, I've been working, just trying to push through it, but my mental health has not been good. I haven't been taking care of it. I've been spending too much time on social media, and I realize that's not good. That's a problem. So this morning I have taken some time to ground and heal and refocus. I did some yoga, did some meditation, some deep guided meditation on just overthinking and anxiety and just getting that down. So it's helped a lot. I'm in a lot better headspace right now. Far better space than Wednesday for sure. But yeah, let's talk about predictions falling flat. I wouldn't even say I had like an actual prediction, but I did pray to Lakshmi. This was like a few days before the election. I prayed to Lakshmi for Kamala Harris to win. And when I did so, I had a vision of her being inaugurated on the steps of the Capitol. And having this happen, it really shook me to my core. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about. I'm just barely getting into spirituality and magic and witchcraft. I once was more into that, kind of fell off of it, and now I've just made like a strong, sincere effort to get back into it, especially since September. And especially like recently, past few weeks before the election, I've been really focusing on like improving my intuition and stuff. So I'll just say this result it's really shook me to my core. But one thing that we have to remember is intuition and just psychic predictions in general. And it wasn't even a prediction, it was more of a prayer, and I just saw a vision. But just psychic predictions in general, like even some of the best psychics in the world are not right 100% of the time. Oftentimes what they're seeing, or what they could be seeing, is an alternate reality, an alternate timeline. They may not actually be seeing this current timeline. They may be trying to, but sometimes they may be seeing a different timeline, kind of just based on what they're focusing on. So, I'm just getting into this, so I have to hone my intuition. It's maybe just not there yet, like on that level. And also with the whole yes on Measure J thing, unfortunately that failed, and it failed spectacularly, more so than Kamala Harris did. It was only 15% of the vote in Sonoma County. I was not expecting it to win, unfortunately. Try as I may and get out there and help the Yes on J team, and just the fantastic campaigning, door knocking, phone baking, banner dropping, everything they were doing was fantastic. They probably didn't have enough boots on the ground, and we were being vastly outspent. We had just multiple millions of dollars on the other side. So yeah, we had a lot going against us, and Sonoma County is an agricultural county, both when it comes to grapevines, just like plant agriculture in general, but also when it comes to animal agriculture, for better or for worse. And that's fine, that's great. I love that. it's just factory farming I don't love. We hate it. Well, our whole team hates factory farming, and that's with good reason, because of the horrible impacts it has on the environment, public health, and just the terrible, terrible way it handles animals in terms of animal welfare. So, yeah, like, you know, and that's the thing. There's only 21 factory farms in Sonoma County. So would Measure J have an impact on the economy of Sonoma County? Yes. I mean, there's only 21 facilities, but they are big facilities. So would it have an impact? Yes. So, I mean, people were right to be concerned, but also 21 facilities out of over 700. I mean, come on. And the language of Measure J was very lenient and allowed gradual progression of things. It allowed a 3-year timeline for things to go into effect, and it allowed these companies to just downsize rather than being just shut down. No, allowed for time to downsize. So, but again, we were vastly outspent. Animal agriculture is really powerful in America in general, but yeah, in Sonoma County as well. So, I just wasn't expecting it to win anyways. So that one wasn't too earth-shattering. It's just the Kamala Harris loss was pretty earth-shattering. But yeah, in terms of predictions falling flat, it wasn't just my prediction, my little third eye prediction, and my third eye I have to hone and open more, I get it, but, there were also just tons of people predicting, not necessarily for her to win, actually. There was, just being real, almost everybody was expecting it to be a close election, a very close election. So that's going into it, that's what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting a freaking wipeout. All the polls were indicating very good turnout, especially very good turnout on our side. The polling prior to was showing, again, close election, not wipeout. So it's all very weird and upsetting, but that is what it is. And I think going forward, I don't plan on making big predictions about huge things going on with our country and the world going forward. Not only because I don't want to get my hopes up and then not only because of that, but just all the anxiety and tension surrounding that. I want to kind of avoid that. If and when I do make predictions in the future, I want to focus more so on my own life. I want to focus on the lives of my loved ones, the region around me in general, making kind of predictions about that. But also when I do divination and tarot readings and such like that, it's just going to be the one-on-one thing, or it's going to be just my audience of viewers rather than some grand thing about big predictions. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to really try to do that anymore. But I will confess something. It's something doesn't seem right. Something does seem off. It doesn't seem right. As far as the win in general and how Trump won. So, I don't know, I'm getting off track now, but like, not only were expecting Kamala Harris, like, it would be a close election. Not only that, and it turned out to be a wipeout. It's just something doesn't feel right about it either. Like, it's not just, okay, we lost, okay, we lost. It sucks, but things will get better. No, I mean, it feels not only, like, it doesn't feel settled. Like, it feels very unsettled, like something's not right. But moving on from that. And what I realized also recently in terms of spirituality in relation to this is, like, my mission hasn't changed. I want to be part of the guide light archetype, like part of the light workers, of the spiritual community in general. Specifically, I feel called to be a guide light archetype. I feel like that my mission hasn't changed at all in that regard. If anything, it's gotten more important. It's gotten more important and more vital to be a guide light in these very dark times. So I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to give people the love, light, guidance, and support they're looking for. I'm going to keep continuing to do that. Okay. Now for the fun, interesting, and kind of controversial part of things. 1 second. Some more things I just need to get off of my chest first before we get into the conspiracy or whatever. First off, unless you're in the top 1%, you may not know it yet, but we all lost. Not just the libs you try to own, we all lost. And isn't it ironic that 2 billionaires, Trump and Elon Musk, just convinced millions of poor people to vote against their own interests, but millions of poor people that other people are the reason that prices are high, despite record corporate profits and record new billionaires. Another thing, well, it was a good 248-year run for the United States. We wrested power from a mad king back in 1776, and now we handed it right over to a new mad king without much of a fight either. It's shameful and it's mind-boggling. Like, this man is a Nazi fascist. He literally praised Hitler's generals. He praised the dictator of Hungary, Orban. He praises Putin all the time. And he praised the dictator of North Korea. Fun. Nobody can get comfortable or complacent right now. It's going to be a very bumpy ride for the next 4 or more years. So buckle up, stay vigilant, and fight back for your own sake, and for your fellow Americans, and for humanity, and for your community. Keep fighting. Okay, the fun conspiracy part. Now, I hate to be that person, but there really are widespread irregularities and lack of turnout or uncounted votes in these election results. I mean, just think about it. Trump lost in 2016 by 3 million votes. Yeah, he won. He won because of the Electoral College. He lost the popular vote by 3 million votes. He lost the GOP House of Representatives in 2018. He lost the GOP Senate in 2020, and of course lost the 2020 election by 7 million votes and lost the electoral election as well. He also lost the GOP a Senate seat and 3 state legislatures in 2022. Then he killed Roe v. Wade and killed the immigration bill, also the the border bill, the immigration bill, which was a bipartisan bill, and he helped tell Republicans, hey, you need to destroy this now, so he has something to run on. So he killed that as well as Roe versus Wade, and he became a convicted felon and rapist, and won in 2024, despite many more voter registrations and the population going up and such. I mean, when you hear the stories at the of the ballot boxes being burned and mail carriers being arrested for throwing away ballots, it's pretty obvious that there's some big things going wrong and some big things that may have been staged, especially in swing states. Something is just plain wrong with the results. 19 million more registered voters, mostly for the Democratic Party, but then roughly 15 million less people voted. It's not adding up. And what I still don't get is why 15 million less Democratic or left voters voted than in 2020. That's dramatic. That's huge, especially when something so earth-shattering is at stake. Now, I'm not trying to be conspiratorial here, but something fishy happened that does need to be looked into. Either voter turnout was really just that depressed, or something nefarious may have happened. If the former, why? I mean, I know Kamala and the Dems are not perfect, and the economy, while far from being perfect, has made a huge recovery since 2020 to 2021. But Harris ran an amazing campaign and was a history-making candidate, as she would have been the first female president and the first black and half black, half Asian, or South Asian, Indian specifically, president ever. Sorry, I shouldn't say first black. That was Obama. But I'm saying the first multiracial candidate to have won ever, and she would have been the first female multiracial candidate to have ever won. Voter turnout should have been through the roof. I mean, it was through the roof for Obama, wasn't it? And we were expecting good turnout. Based on the polls, we were expecting turnout to be good. We were expecting a close race, not a freaking wipeout. But if the latter is the situation, if there really was some conspiracy going on, whoo boy, lots of unanswered questions. Now, let's not forget the millions of weird split tickets, especially in swing states, where we had folks vote for Democrats down ballot and Democrats down ballot won, or they didn't vote for anyone at all down ballot, but they voted for Trump at the top of the ticket. Not only is that weird, not only is that strange, that just really doesn't happen. That's unprecedented. Real quick, I've got a photo here. I'm not gonna put it on the description or whatever, but I'm just gonna go over to that photo. There it is. Okay, so just just going over some data here. In Wisconsin, Trump won, but Tammy Baldwin, the Democrat, also won. In Michigan, Trump won, and the Democrat Slotkin also won. In Nevada, Trump won. The Democrat Rosen also won. In Arizona, Trump won. Gallego, the Democrat, also won. In North Carolina, Trump won. And the Democrat Stein also won. Now, if it was just one or two states that did, something like this panned out, okay, that's not unreasonable. That's not unprecedented. That has happened in the past, especially with, it's more indicative of someone of the populace being upset with an incumbent Democrat in those lower offices that an incumbent Republican rather, that they're upset with and dissatisfied with, so they'll vote for the Democrat instead, but they still want to, they're still happy with whoever the Republican is on the top of the ticket, so that's not unprecedented. But for it to have been pretty much all of the swing states, that just doesn't happen. That is completely unprecedented. That just doesn't happen in the history of modern politics. So yeah, again, let's not forget the millions of weird split tickets where we had folks vote Democrats down ballots or not at all, but they voted for Trump top of the ticket. It's just freaking weird. It's not right. But moving on, if the results are to be believed and are to be trusted, I'm going to present the results here. So what the results actually are. Trump and Vance have unfortunately won another 4 years in office to exert their extremist agenda, and they will stay in power they will try to stay in power for longer, either through a legitimate, free, and fair election, through cheating and rigging the process, so that a free and fair election is impossible, or through outright dictatorship. The Supreme Court is already loaded with conservatives, so that's already out the picture. The Republicans have already taken the Senate, and we're still waiting for the results as far as the House of Representatives is concerned, because we're still waiting for all the votes to be counted in some counties. But it's not looking good there either. And Republicans seem poised to take that too, if the trends hold, but fingers crossed, we see a Democrat upset there as well. So all around a very bad situation, but an excellent situation for the far-right neo-fascists. So the causes, one second, more water. Let's talk about the causes. Let's talk about how we got here. Assuming the results are to be believed and trusted, it's easy to dismiss these results as being because of sexism and racism, or even homophobia or transphobia, and certainly the results are a win for white supremacy and the patriarchy and homophobia and transphobia, especially in light of some of the most vile and heinous things some MAGA people have been telling people of color and women and LGBTQ plus communities since the election. However, again, if those results are to be believed, such an answer is far too reductive and simplistic. Straight up in your face racism and sexism and homophobia and transphobia, they really only have currency with hardcore MAGA Republican base who were never going to vote for Kamala anyway. Most people don't care about that stuff one way or the other. And that's sad. That's sad that they just don't care, but that's the truth. Most people don't care one way or the other about racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia. They just want to live their lives. They want to live and let live. And they care primarily about the financial well-being of themselves and their family. So the causes that actually swung voters who could be moved are as follows in order of importance. At least here's my hypothesis, and here's what pundits have been saying. Number one, the vast overarching explanation for these results: economy slash inflation slash prices. Okay. So let's talk about that. Now, back in 2020 to 2021, the economy was shit. We get it. It was. But then in 2022, for instance, Democrats picked up some seats. So go figure. If Republicans and centrists and stuff like that were really so upset, why wasn't there a red wave then? Why is there a red wave now? It's strange, but we get it. Back in 2020 to 2021, the economy was crap. It was crap because Trump had chosen to throw out the pandemic playbook. He let COVID run rampant, did next to nothing, very little to stop the spread of COVID. If it wasn't for scientists hard at work, then we finally get the vaccines, and then Biden takes office and we get the vaccines out en masse, we would have been in a far, far worse position. But regardless, the pandemic was a huge disruption to the supply chain. So there were massive supply issues that resulted in almost runaway inflation at the time. But look what happened. The inflation rate has drastically went down. And unemployment is at record lows. The economy is booming right now, practically. But the problem is the average person, the working class, is just not seeing it. I wonder why they're not seeing it, though. And it's not the Biden administration to blame. The Biden administration is just getting punished for the bad economy. And that's ironic, right? The economy is doing great. It's just the average person, working class, is hurting. I get that. I'm hurting too. The prices suck. But still, I would never in a billion trillion years vote for the Orange Menace. Never think of it. But I get why people have thought about it and did vote for him. During those Trump years, yeah, the economy was good up until 2020. Until it went to shit. So, I understand there's nostalgia for that. And there's nostalgia for the lower prices as well. And the thing is, the growth in the increase in prices has went down because inflation has went dramatically down. But that being said, they're still high. They're still high. People are suffering, and people's wages, people's income is not keeping up with that. And that's not the fault of Biden. I mean, could the Democrats in general have done more? Maybe, but it's a hard, dicey Congress that they're dealing with. It's hard to get anything passed. So, you know, a minimum wage increase would have been fantastic, but would it have happened? I don't know. So it's just a huge problem, and it's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation for the Biden administration. So, you know, the Biden administration has also already done a hell of a lot for the economy. You know, the Inflation Reduction Act, the Chips and Science Act, all of that. And it's shown, you know, but you can only do so much for the economy. It's the free markets. You can only do so much to the economy before the corporations, the CEOs start getting pissed, and then you're going to hear about it. Now, what Kamala Harris proposed to do, she proposed to do the opportunity economy. That was one of her plans, just the opportunity economy. I don't know too much about the details about that. You can go look that up. It's too late now, but you can go look that up. And she wanted to help first-time home buyers, you know, with a certain amount, a certain stipend to help them become first-time home buyers and get into, you know, that first home of their dreams. So it's like people should have been paying attention and realized, you know, she's the one that actually wanted to help the middle class and the working class far more so than Trump wanted or could ever do. But, you know, how could they have done more? But there's only so much you can do for the economy. You know, like I said, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But it doesn't matter now. I mean, the absolute wrecking ball of the to the economy that is coming with Trump, with his administration plans. And economists were issuing very, very dire warnings about this leading up to the election, but it seems like people didn't pay attention or something. So first off, the massive tariffs on imports are going to cause prices to go through the roof. It'll make prices now look like a joke. And then you've got mass deportations of migrant workers. And then you've got taxes on the middle class, rather than, you know, tax cuts for billionaires. And yeah, we could see the complete destruction of healthcare, Obamacare in this country, complete destruction of the Social Security. You know, all this is going to send working class and middle class families spiraling. You think you have it bad now, it's going to get so much worse. You're going to have buyer's remorse if you voted for this guy. But that's where we are. So anyway, so if it was an economic protest vote, like I'm hinting here, it was ignorant and misguided. But people don't necessarily look too deeply into the issues, and more so they just do a vibe check prior to the election. Am I suffering economically? Am I suffering financially? Or am I not? And then they take it out. They take it out on the incumbent. The incumbent party is more likely to be blamed, even though the pandemic that set this all into motion started 4 years ago during the Trump administration. So, how could it have worked in Kamala's favor? I mean, Biden probably should have dropped out a lot sooner. She only had like 100 days to run, so that's a start. But she could have run on more economic issues and a more progressive and populist platform. and sold all that and had better messaging. She could have run on Medicare for all, healthcare for all. Yeah, the healthcare corporations would not have liked that, not at all, but she would have got more votes. She could have run on eliminating student debt and got more votes as well. She could have run on, well, she actually already was running on dealing with price gouging. Again, there's only so much you can do, but she could have had better messaging around that. It's like to really get it home to voters. Hey, I'm your champion for this, not the other guy. But yeah, as far as the other issues, so the other causes, I'd say the number 2 cause could be crime. And that's the thing, the far right media, Fox News, right-wing podcasts, they've been fear-mongering a lot about crime. And crime is not great right now in this country. It's far better than it has been in decades, but there has been a recent uptick in crime. So there is that, but it's been vastly overblown. Is it happening? Yes, it sucks. I'm sorry it's happening. I'm not sure what Trump's going to do about it that's going to be better. If anything, it's going to be worse. Because, think about it. Kamala has a record of being a prosecutor. A fantastic record of being a prosecutor. And cracking down on illegal human trafficking, illegal immigration. She was working on that here in California. So, she was the law and order candidate. I don't know why so many people seem to think Trump is the law and order candidate. He's a convicted felon, for crying out loud. He was running for president twice now to escape the law. Well, 3 times now, rather, to escape the law. Kamala Harris is the law and order candidate here. It's not even a contest. So, but there could have been better messaging on the Democratic side from that to kind of counteract that. Number 3 cause, foreign wars, particularly Gaza. That's more so among the Muslim and Arab communities and progressive and far left people, rather than among centrist, independent people that probably didn't care as much about that. But, I'd say for the right-wing and centrist people, they were probably upset about Ukraine. They were probably upset about sending billions of dollars to Ukraine to help fight Putin and Russia. And I get that. I understand that. But it has to be done to stop the spread of, Putin's own brand of fascism, to stop him trying to mount a takeover of Eastern Europe and all the sovereign and democratic countries there. So it's not like it's being funded just for no reason, but like I said, as far as Muslim and Arab communities and the far left and progressive voters, a lot of them very understandably so, and I was pissed off too about the Biden administration's handling of Gaza. I realized that Kamala Harris was the lesser of the 2 evils just in general, but even on that issue, Trump is going to give Israel literally everything they could want and then some. Probably there's going to be no more Palestine now. It's just going to get all wiped out and Israeli settlers are going to take over. That's what I see will probably happen. It's like you folks who sat it out, it's a heart-wrenching choice to make. I can't imagine it, especially if you're in a Muslim or Arab community that was affected by this. It's a heart-wrenching decision to try to make, but it's like, you guys didn't do yourselves any favors here on this issue. And I'd say number 4 is immigration. Now that's mostly because of right-wing media, far right-wing media, right-wing podcasts and Fox News. They've been fear-mongering about immigration since Obama was president. It's just gotten so much worse, so much more escalated, and so many voters, even centrist mainstream people, have bought into that big lie about undocumented immigrants and how they're being horrible and crime and rapists and stuff like that. And it's not true. I live in Sonoma County. There are so many undocumented immigrants, but they're contributing so much to our economy and to our community, and they're nothing but good people. And the crime statistics have shown that among undocumented immigrant communities, crime is actually far less than it is among native-born American citizens. So it's hatred. It's hatred. It is, and they contribute to their tax with their tax dollars to the American people, to the economy. Do they get much back? They really don't. They really don't. Sadly, they just get their wages because they're undocumented. If you think they're getting benefits and stuff from the government stuff, they're not. They don't get benefits from the government because they're undocumented. But they contribute a lot. It's just so messed up and backwards and sad, like all the messaging is on immigration. But I would say that is probably like a 4th lower tier issue here. The number 1 had to have been the economy. Okay, 1 second. Now, I hope we'll all be okay. I really do. I hope we will all be okay now. But I know things will not be okay. I'm much more scared for my trans sisters and brothers and all LGBTQ people in general in red states than myself and my partner. We're in a blue state. But I know nobody is really safe in a fascist America. And if you're cis and straight, you're not necessarily safe or good either. Depending on how bad it gets, it could go to heck. It could go to heck in a handmaid's tale handbasket. Any or all of these people could be on the chopping block. Pregnant women with health issues or complications or in abusive or neglectful or vulnerable situations, elderly and disabled people, and anyone who needs affordable health care in general, but they may no longer be able to get it. Undocumented migrants, as I hinted, people of color, religious or ethnic minorities. I could go on and on. Nobody is 100% safe except white, cis, able-bodied, straight Christian men, just like these fascists like it. But even they will not be safe from a recessed and cratering economy unless they're part of the top 1%. It is critical for us to take care of and support each other to the best of our abilities. Mutual aid networks, all that jazz. But take care of yourself and your needs mentally and physically first and foremost. You can't pour from an empty cup. Okay, with that out of the way, I'm moving on to my next part, part 5, the worst timeline, what we can expect from this administration or dictatorship and how it will affect the issues I plan to talk about on this channel. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet, but just in a nutshell, it's fricked. It's fricked to hell. It's not looking good. We're in for some very dark times. In terms of LGBTQ plus issues, the Trump administration has already made it very clear they hate us and they're going to fuck with us. I'm sorry. They're going to flip with us and our community and our people. If you're in red states and you're LGBTQ person, I strongly urge you to get your money and all your stuff together. I strongly urge you, if at all possible, to leave a red state. Maybe even leave a swing state as well and move to a blue state. Really, it's no joke. I'm not trying to scaremonger, but things look extremely dark for the LGBTQ plus community in this new administration, and it's terrifying, it's sad, but it's the reality. Moving on to women's issues, it's more or less the same in that regard, and if there's a nationwide abortion ban, nowhere is going to be safe unless you're in a blue state that can fight it tooth and nail and has protections for reproductive rights. So, if you want to keep your rights and your autonomy and everything, women, strongly recommend you moving to a blue state. I do. And that's the funny and ironic thing about it, though. For LGBTQ plus people and women, it's you're definitely going to feel the need to move to a blue state, but on the other hand, it's also important for us blue Democratic voters to stay in those states, and especially stay in swing states, to fight the good fight. Because it's gonna be harder going forward if we don't, if you folks don't stay, especially in the swing states, to fight back against that. But you have to listen to your gut. You have to listen to the environment around you, and if you don't feel safe, if you really don't feel safe, fearing for your life and your loved one's life, get the heck out of there. Now moving on to a lighter note, but very dark. So what's going to happen with the environment and for animals? That's not going to directly affect people's lives and livelihood and stuff, but it will affect them, especially in the long run. They plan to completely destroy the EPA. As far as Department of Health and Human Services, they plan to install, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a noted anti-vax conspiracy nutjob, to the Health and Human Services Department. So for the environment and for public health, at least for the country as a whole, but in blue states it's going to be okay, but for the country as a whole, it's going to get really bad. It's going to get ugly, and there's going to be huge setbacks. And I imagine when it comes to fighting climate change too, that's going to be the exact same story, unless you're talking about blue states. They'll actually continue with their climate agenda as best as they can, but the federal government's going to completely drop that. You can probably look forward to our national parks, our national forests and stuff, getting more heavily logged and deforested. You can look forward to more mining in those places, more selling off to private interests. Yeah, and you can also look forward to more drill baby drill, get that oil out of the ground type of stuff, more fracking and such. Yeah, that's just going to accelerate the climate crisis. So we're kind of really shooting ourselves in both kneecaps here right now. And as far as animal rights, well, you know, the Trump administration doesn't care shit about animal rights, and it's not going to do anything positive for that. But as far as animal welfare, you know, that's a situation where the country in general is more amenable to making the barest of modest changes for, you know, helping domestic animals, but you know, the Trump administration has already laid out that they're going to massively expand trophy hunting, allow trophy hunters, and allow hunters who are farmers and trying to protect their livestock, but like just let them kill as many wolves as they want, and coyotes as they want. They're going to allow hunters to go rampant in this country. You know, we're probably not going to see any changes as far as animal welfare for like farmed animals. If anything, it might get worse. But as far as wild animals, things are definitely going to get a lot worse for them. We may even see extinctions. So the way forward and what we can do about it, I'm going to get into that right now. The way forward and what we can do about it. Well, it's going to be hell of a lot harder to do anything positive from here on out. You know, sadly, I can mostly just give you platitudes here, but I can give you some good news. I'll start off with the platitudes. We'll get to the rest of that. So as cliche and basic B as it sounds, no matter what happens, keep living, laughing and loving. At the end of the day, that's really all we have, in the good times and in the bad. They can take away our rights. They can take away our livelihoods. You may have to even move for your safety. They may even take your life. One thing they can't take is your spirit, unless you let them. Don't let them. Keep hope alive. Don't let them dim your shine. I ain't letting them dim my shine. Burn brightly. Live, laugh, love, and keep fighting. Keep freaking fighting. So F them if they think they can change who I am or destroy me, or anyone in my community for that matter. This is not the time for despondence. F that. This is the time for rage. And to anybody to the left of freaking neo-Nazi, I hope you finally realize how important the following are. How important coalition building is, unity, and getting out the vote, and turning out the vote for the candidate who best represents your interests and values and can actually win. And that voting is a chess move to get you closer to the world you want. It's not a love letter to your favorite ideal candidate of choice. It often is a choice for the lesser of two evils. But to forfeit your right to choose among the two It's to do a fundamental disservice to all those who may be negatively affected by the consequences of you not choosing, and also means potentially throwing things in favor of the greater evil who will do more harm. Alas, we're all going to pay the price now. And, the people who vote for Republicans, many out of hate for libs, but many due to economic issues, they keep shooting themselves in the foot. When will they ever learn? Yes, Democrats are not perfect, but Republicans care about you and your economic needs far, far less. I'm so tired of this. Unless you're in the 1%, the people who voted for Mango Mussolini played themselves. They just don't know it yet. The tariffs and high prices and lack of health care and lack of social security, among many other things, will catch up with them soon enough. But it may be too late then, and we will all have to pay the price for their ignorant, uneducated faux news, and right-wing podcast brainwashed decision-making. Ladies, prepare to exercise your Second Amendment rights. Your Second Amendment rights that the right wing is always whining about that we're going to take away from them. No, get armed. Defend yourselves. You're not anyone else's property. Your body is still your body. Defend yourselves, and we'll also fight like hell against any national abortion bans or reproductive rights restrictions the best we can. I can't believe that a majority of voters voted for the destruction of democracy itself and the installation of fascism, just like in Germany circa 1933. If you think that's hyperbole, you're not paying attention. Read Project 2025. That's, unfortunately, our future. Just listen to Trump's own words. We won't need another election anymore. I'm doing a bad, horrible Trump impression. We won't need another election anymore. I'll be a dictator on day one. Only day one, though. If you believe only on day one, you're a damn fool. At least they had the Great Depression back in that time as an excuse. What's the excuse this time? Yeah, prices are still high, but we've had one of the most dramatic economic recoveries in the world post-COVID. But now we're gonna just let Mango Mussolini come in and F it all up again and dismantle any safeguards against another pandemic? In one word, stunning. In the worst possible way. Rest in peace, America, 1776 to 2024. From one mad king, voted right into the hands of another mad king. But let's get into the silver lining here. The House of Representatives is still up for grabs. It's not looking good, but there may be a chance that Democrats retain the House of Representatives. So there's that. And not for red states or swing states, but for blue states, there's actually plenty of good news right now. Governor Newsom of California has called in a special legislative session to kind of bolster up our rights and civil liberties here in California and fight against the worst to come with the Trump administration. And similar things are also happening in New York, in New Jersey, in Minnesota, in Washington as well, they're planning to go whole ham against the Trump administration for, in terms of like lawsuits against the Trump administration. So look forward to that. But that's about all I got as far as good news here. It's bad. It's bad all around for everybody, unless you're in the top 1%. All right, how this is going to affect what I cover on this channel going forward. I'm still going to cover what I'm going to cover. I'm still going to cover the issues I care about, but I'm mostly going to focus on the big stories, both good and bad. I might focus more on like California issues, local issues. And like I said, like I was already planning to do, I'm going to focus a lot more on the positive news stories going forward. I was already planning on doing that, but I'm definitely going to, you know, when I do talk about news and politics, I'm going to talk about some more of the positive news stories as well. So you have that to look forward to as well. All right, ending notes. Yay, we're there finally. Thank you for hanging on as long as you've hung on, I hope. As for me, I am staying right here in this country. I am staying in California. I'm so incredibly fortunate and grateful to have been born and raised here. So lucky. For all my trans sisters and brothers and non-binary people who live in non-blue states, I'm so sorry, so sorry. I will do what I can to, I'll do what I can afford to support your mutual aid and any donations you may need for help and relocation, anything like that. I will do what I can. I wish you the best of luck. I definitely recommend moving to a blue state for your own safety, but just do what you gotta do. But as far as me and my partner, you know, we are not having kids. Not here in this country, not even with a surrogate. I'm afraid it's too far gone for that. And I would be petrified for their safety and well-being raising them in this country, even in California. I would, unless things change dramatically. Yeah. So trans sisters and brothers, our gay elders who came before us survived the Reagan years. We'll survive this. It's what we do. Will it be hellish? Yes. But we will make it. We will support our own. We will continue to fight. And we will survive. If our survival is in question, we'll support each other and we'll move if we must and if we can afford it. But we won't give up without a fight. We will always be here and we will survive. It's what we do. We will survive. Keep the faith. Finally, many of my friends, sisters and brothers, and non-binary people are sad and scared, and maybe even contemplating some very dark stuff. To them, I will say this: please take care of yourself. please, please take care of yourself. You are valued and you are loved. You may not feel it where you happen to live or the family that you happen to be a part of, but you are loved by our community in general. Please stay vigilant, aware, and safe. I'm sad, scared, and angry too. I'm in California, so I have less to be worried about, but I still am sad, scared, and definitely angry. But we need you. We need you. We all need each other. If you're barely hanging on, please use the resources that I will soon have in the description section of this video. You don't need to go through this alone, because you're not alone. As much as I can say I have got your back, we've got your back, and we all need to have each other's backs now more than ever. So with that note out of the way, I love you all so much. I love you all so much. Keep that light burning bright. Keep the faith, and thank you so much for tuning in. Love, peace, namaste.